Hello everyone, I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'm going to be breaking down a boxing match for this video. As I've said multiple times, and I try to reiterate, one of my goals in this channel is not just to cover the UFC, but to cover major fights and other promotions. Like some of the videos I have on ONE FC. In this case, I'll be covering a boxing match. Because for me, I feel like this fight has great significance. And this one will be live December 6th, so this Saturday. In our main event for the WBC interim super lightweight title, we have the champion Isaac Pitbull Cruz taking on Lamont Roach Jr. This is going to be a very interesting boxing match for me because both of them have a common opponent. They both fought Tank Davis. Now, Isaac Cruz lost to Tank Davis, but he gave him an absolute run for his money in one of the toughest fights in Tank Davis's career. And I personally thought Lamont Roach beat Tank Davis in March, and I thought it was bullshit that Tank could just take a knee and the ref didn't count him out. I was thinking, what the fuck? But my point being, I thought Roach beat Tank. So this is a very, very fun matchup, and one that's built on contrast, because you got Pitbull, who has relentless pressure, compact power, and non-stop aggression. On the opposite side, you have Lamont Roach, who's more measured, defensively sharp, composed, and more of a counter puncher. This is definitely pressure versus precision. You just have two very fundamentally different styles in the ring, and when that happens, the edge becomes pretty razor thin. As you have, not brawler, but you have pressure versus technician in this one, or pure technical boxing versus forward momentum and pressure. But without further ado, let's get down to the breakdown. I think I want to coin that more. All right, starting with Isaac Cruz. He is one of the purest pressure fighters in boxing in recent memory. When you study his tape, what immediately stands out is that forward lean in his stance. Very compact, explosive, and ready to. He's kind of like a spring. He's just a tight ball of muscle. Oh, and was it the spring analogy I was just using? He's just ready to launch at his opponents. Cruz doesn't feel his way in; he forces his way in. The method is very simple but highly effective. If constant forward steps, constant head movement, and on entry, and short, violent burst once inside. His offense is mostly built around his tight, compact hooks and uppercuts at close range, and Cruz has some of the tightest, most efficient combinations you'll see from a pressure fighter. And what makes him dangerous isn't simply power, it's the momentum he carries in his shots. When he attacks as a unit, feet, hips, and shoulder all committed. So he's going full blast while not being sloppy whatsoever. It's a nice compact hook, but with all of his forward momentum going. And even if he misses, he has the momentum to turn around and fire off, say a rear uppercut, or use that momentum for a rear hook and just keep going and going. In terms of just rhythm, Cruz doesn't give opponents many moments to breathe. It isn't reckless aggression. He actually slips well while advancing, and his low center of gravity make him hard to intercept with just a single jab. And once he gets that close chest pressure, that's where he thrives. He'll bump you, he'll bully you, and keep the tempo exactly where Cruz wants it. Uncomfortable, fast, and physical. I mean, he ain't called Pitbull for no reason. Defensively, I'd say his style is somewhat limited. Because he's so committed to forward pressure, he sometimes squares up during exchanges, and fighters with good range management and disciplined footwork can steer him into resets. Now, few have succeeded. I mean, he's 28-3-1. His last loss was to Jose Venezuela, which was about a year ago. And since Cruz does also rely heavily on physical strength and explosiveness, and when the fight can be forced into that mid-range, he could be out-timed by superior technicians. Now, looking at Lamont Roach, he is the polar opposite. Roach is a technician and pretty calm, clean, and selective with his shots. His stance is a lot taller, is tall and balanced, giving him excellent ability to pivot, control distance, and see punches coming. And I would say what defies Roach's style is precision. And as he's not throwing to overwhelm, he's throwing to intercept. He fights. Also, it's important to note, especially in boxing, stances are very important because the southpaw stance is going to be a lot harder for boxers than it is for, say, Thai fighters or MMA fighters. At least from my personal experience. So Roach is a very good southpaw. Isaac Cruz will be in the orthodox stance. So Roach's jab is his compass, if you will. He uses it in many different ways, as a rangefinder, as a disruptor, or as a setup for his straight left hand. And unlike Cruz, who builds his offense moving forward, Roach builds his offense by making the opponent overcommit. He draws attacks, he slides half a beat, and then fires back with a sharp counter. And his defense is his defensive discipline, or just defensive techniques, is one of his greatest strengths. Roach keeps his hands very high, his chin's tucked, and uses subtle head movements rather than any big motions and to get out of the way. Mostly just slight turn, instead of something like moving really out of the way. Then this keeps him in position to punch immediately after defending. And in the pocket, he's not explosive like Cruz, but he's controlled, and his punches come quick, clean, and accurate. And what I would say where Lamont Roach, truly shines is in transitional space, the moment when an opponent is coming in but hasn't fully arrived yet. Real estate, if you will. That's where his timing lives. Fighters like Cruz, who want to crash into the pocket instantly, and fighters like Roach want to punish the moment before the collision. That's essentially how the best we can think of it. The biggest drawback, I would say, for Roach is output. He can be so patient the rounds become close if the opponent forces volume. And most of the time, Roach needs a lot of space, haste to make his style work. And when opponents turn the ring small, he has to rely on discipline instead of comfort. So I would say this matchup is simple. It's all about real estate. Give me a chance with this analogy. Cruz wants to fight in the phone booth or in the kitchen. Roach wants to fight in the hallway, or that medium to mid space. Both men know exactly where their advantages lie. The question is, who can bring the fight to their preferred range? Cruz will try to collapse the ring early, expect him to jab his way forward more as a distraction than a scoring tool, and then duck under and burst with compact hooks to Roach's body. Meanwhile, Roach's job is to punish these entries before they become commitments, and he can't allow Cruz to step in without cost. The straight left hand from Roach is one of the most important weapons in this fight, right? As Cruz's forward pressure often exposes the center line, and Roach has the accuracy to make him pay. Cruz, meanwhile, will be looking to slip outside that line and come in with his signature left hook or right uppercut. And footwork will also determine everything, really, especially in high-level boxing matches. Roach needs to move just enough, not running, but redirection. One pivot, one angle, and one punching, and then punching off the angle. If he's too linear, Cruz will catch him and force him into trades he doesn't want. But Cruz also faces a challenge. Roach doesn't get flustered easily. I mean, like I said, I thought he'd beat Tank Davis, and he fought one of the best and most disciplined power hitters, and just counter strikers in all the lower weight classes. Roach does not react with panic. He doesn't bite on feints, which means Cruz must be disciplined in his pressure, not wild. And if he loops punches, Roach will beat him to the target. This is kind of a classic battle of clean punching versus persistent pressure, precision versus aggression. And the fighter who controls pace, not distance, but pace, will likely control the outcome. Now, there are some intangibles you could think of in this matchup. Apologies for that. When you look just beyond the technical aspect, temperament becomes important because Cruz fights with emotions, the intensity, pride, and a constant need to impose his will. And when things go his way, he snowballs momentum. Kind of like a Holloway in the sense where as soon as he starts getting going and the snowball just goes downhill, there's no stopping it. But when the fight slows down and becomes technical, he can sometimes grow impatient. Roach, on the other hand, is composed to the point of being stoic. He doesn't need to win wild exchanges. He welcomes slow, steady rounds where he can pick his shots, and that emotional consistency could serve him well against a fighter who relies on overwhelming energy like Cruz. Now, in terms of cardio, both men are reliable, but they rely on different uses of their cardio. Cruz burns hot and consistent, Roach burns slow and efficient. In long fights, the man who controls the tempo usually preserves more energy. Now, for my official prediction, I'm going to pick Lamont Roach. I think Cruz will have his moments, especially early on, with his aggression. Is freshest and his pressure is sharp. But I think Roach possesses the exact toolkit that historically troubles fighters like Pitbull. Good disciplined footwork, sharp straight punches, defensive responsibilities, and the ability to stay calm under pressure. If Roach keeps the fight at mid-range, turns during Cruz's entries like either half step and or quarter step, and doesn't allow himself to be drawn into unnecessary brawls, he can consistently score the cleaner work, and over time the accuracy can slow Cruz's pace and force him into predictable patterns. And predictable entries that are exactly what Roach wants in this fight. So, my official prediction, I'm going to go with Lamont Roach, and I'm going to pick him via decision in this one. But with that being said, that's been my breakdown of this matchup. If you like the video, like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. And let me know what you think of me covering boxing matches as well. I don't really cover most of them. The last one I did was Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Crawford. So if you like this one, let me know. But with that being said, I've been Bo from Brutal Commentary. Stay calm, stay respectful, and enjoy the violence. I'll see y'all next time.